Hello. Today's topic of discussion is working of the Mayors Code from 1726 to 1753. And in this we are going to discuss critical estimate of working of Mayors Code from 1726 to 1753. So let's start with introduction. After the Charter of 1726 was actually implemented and mayors' courts began their functioning, gradually the defect and lacuna in the provisions of the Charter came into limelight. The working of the mayor's court at Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras created many difficulties for native Indians. Especially, the procedure of the mayor's court was quite new and altogether different from the long established traditions, manners, and habits of Indian litigants. It was realized that the charter was not quite clear in its language. For the first time, the mayor's court administered English law in India. Nearly all the common law and statute law existed in England in 1726 was introduced in the presidency towns of India. So Bombay, Calcutta and Madras were the presidency towns. It completely ignored the Indian customs and traditions and was hardly suitable to Indian conditions in those days. The mayor and the aldermen presided over the mayor's court, and they were either senior servants of the company or dependent on the company's pleasure for their stay in India. They had neither any regular legal training nor any judicial experience to their credit. When the administration of justice was entrusted to such person, evil consequences were bound to happen. Their jurisdiction was primarily confined to the persons employed in the factories of the company and the branches in each presidency town. As there was no specific mention about jurisdiction, the court decided that it was empowered to exercise its jurisdiction even in such cases where both parties were native Indians. So, all these exercises and peculiarities in the name of justice enforced by the English people created great dissatisfaction among the native inhabitants of the presidency town. The Charter of 1726 created a corporation and a mayor's court in Presidency Town. The mayor's court was constituted to work independently, but its relationship with the executive, that is, governor and council, was not stated clearly. In actual practice, the executive machinery expressed its hatred and jealousy against the independent attitude of the mayor's court. At times, the executive tried to dictate the terms to the judiciary. On refusing to carry out the wishes of the executive heads, that is, governor and council, the mayor and aldermen came into conflict with the governor and council in many cases at Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. So let's examine critical estimate of the working of the mayor's court at Bombay. Instead of the smooth working of these two wings, executive and judiciary, their relations became severely strained in each presidency term. So, first we are going to examine the working of the mayor's court at Bombay. The following few cases or instances will reveal the growing conflict between the governor in council, that is executive, and the mayor's court at Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta. As early as 1730, governor and his governor of Bombay, he name was Cowan, and the mayor's court at Bombay came into conflict on the court's jurisdiction over natives in matters concerning their caste and religion. This situation arose in case where a Hindu woman of Shimpi caste changed her religion and became Roman Catholic. She had a son of 12 years of age. After the mother changed her religion, the son left her and decided to stay with his Hindu relatives. So the mother filed a suit in the mayor's court against Hindu relatives and on the ground of unlawful detaining some jewels and the boy. As a consequence of it, the court ordered the relatives to hand over the boy to his mother. The head of the caste filed a complaint to Governor Cowan, and the matter was duly considered by the governor and council. It was held that the mayor's court was not authorized to exercise its jurisdiction over causes of religious nature or dispute concerning caste among the natives. And a separate warning also was issued to the mayor's court stating that in future the court should not interfere in such cases. The court strongly protested against the decision taken by the governor and council on the ground that the matter in dispute was not at all religious and the court was empowered to decide such cases under the authority of Charter of 1726. The governor then removed the mayor from the post of secretary to the council, and ultimately the conflict was reported to the court of director of the company in England. In the same year, that is in the year 1730, in Arab merchants' case, the council and the mayor's court again came into serious conflict. An Arab merchant sued a person in the mayor's court for recovery of the value of his pearls. The Arab merchant stated that the defendant extorted the pearls from him while he was rescued near the coast of Gujarat from a burning boat. The governor and council suggested to the mayor's court that claim suit filed by the Arab merchant was invalid as the defendant was tried for piracy earlier and was acquitted. Piracy means, as you know, robbing ship at sea. This offense is known as piracy. So, governor and council suggested to mayor's court that the defendant was tried for piracy earlier and was acquitted. But the mayor's court paid no attention to the governor's suggestion and decreed the suit in favor of the Arab merchant. On appeal before the governor and council, the decision was reversed by the casting vote of governor. And due to this, the mayor's court expressed great doubt and challenged the legality of the reversal order. And this added fuel to the fire and the existing tense relations between the mayor's court and the governor further became strained. Now let's discuss critical estimate of working of Mayor's Court at Madras. In Madras, the relations between the Mayor's Court and Governor in Council were also not cordial. On many occasions, they came into conflict with one another. The mayor's court always insisted on its independent authority and original jurisdiction in administering justice and made it clear that the governor and the council had no power to dictate or interfere in the working. The governor and council disliked the independent attitude of mayor's court. And there were instances when the mayor's court at Madras came into conflict with the governor and council. So let's discuss a civil suit against Nash. Nash, he was the mayor of the mayor's court, was filed by the governor. The mayor's court held that the mayor was immune from legal action in the court. Immune means when a person is not affected by something, this is known as immune. So here the mayor's court held that the mayor was immune from legal action in the court, and therefore it was revealed that the relations between the Nash, the mayor and the governor became tense due to their personal rivalry, jealousy, personal hatred against each other. The mayor's court also came into conflict with the local inhabitants of Madras. The court insisted that the Hindu witness must take pagoda oath instead of Gita oath. Gita is a holy book of Hindus. One Gujarati merchant was fined by the mayor's court for refusing to take pagoda oath. When the matter came before the governor and council, they remitted the fine, म्हणजे माफ करणे. Sometime, sometime later in 1736, two Hindus were even imprisoned at the instance of the mayor's court on their refusal to take pagoda oath. And this incident excited the Hindus emotionally, and their expression of great dissatisfaction caused a problem of law and order. The mayor's court persisted in their attitudes in spite of objection from Indians and the governor and the council. The governor therefore intervened and released them on parole under his orders. Parole means to release a person, release a prisoner temporarily on the promise of good behavior, that is known as parole. So this incident further added fuel to the already tense relations with the mayor's court. Now let's discuss working of Mayor's Court at Calcutta. At Calcutta, Mayor's Court was established in 1728. In its working and dealing with the governor and council, the condition was no better at Calcutta than Bombay and Madras. Similar conflicts arose between the Mayor's Court and the governor and council. So to conclude with, the company's authorities were worried at the growing discontent, conflict, enmity, and rivalry between Mayor's Court and the Governor and Council at Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta. The inhabitants of Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta were the greatest sufferer due to the constant conflict between the judiciary and executive, and it created an atmosphere of great unrest, that is disturbed, in all the three presidency towns. The situation was such that the judges were non professional, having no legal training. They did have an idea of independence of the judiciary but acted in a manner that would be derogatory to the court. Derogatory means Lajjaspad. On the other hand, the persons constituting executive were despotic in their outlook and were unable to tolerate judicial independence. Whenever the courts did not follow their dictates, they tried to disgrace it in the eyes of law. They regarded themselves as almost autonomous. So, under such circumstances, Kay writes that justice gained little by the establishment of the mayor's court. Neither law nor justice was treated with much respect. So this system continued up to the year of 1753 when the Charter of 1753 was passed. So for this the reference are as follows. So with this I have completed the working of Mayor's Code. Thank you.